Kenny,
Hey,
how's it going, mate?
hold on. All right, I'm shutting off my Lana Del Rey.
Just getting into it.
She's got this song called, dude. She's got a lot of really nice songs, man. Her voice is it's pretty special. But this one song, excuse me, it's called White Mustang.
Okay,
I like it, man. It's a good song.
never heard of it.
No, oh man, dude, I like it a lot. It's all good. It's all good.
Can't
What's
say
up,
I'm a
dude?
Lana Del Rey fan. I don't know. Like I've heard, I'm not a commercial radio person. I don't know. Like never really have been. I like. I don't know. I like odd stuff. I like the stuff they play on the radio. It makes me think they're trying to sell me something. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
hold on, wait, hold on. Just gotta take notes here. Call Adam out. Call Adam out on what he means by odd music later. Because I gotta we gotta dive into that one, man. I gotta because I've
Yeah,
heard some odd music, man. What's up, dude? How you feeling? How you living, bro? How you Let's
I'm
start with
good.
those two. I was about to rattle off like seven more questions, but this is what happens when I set off the podcast for too long. I forget how to act.
Yeah. No, I get that. I get that. And apologies for the break. I just didn't. Dude, last week when we went to do it, I was just like, bro, I don't know. I was like just like drained of all energy. I just literally my brain was fried. I don't know. I think I like worked myself way too hard last week, and I just
Yeah.
like it got to the point. I know this is a lot. You know, this goes in like the topics that we talk as well. Like
Yeah.
I just burned the candle at both ends, so to speak, to the point where I was like, I hadn't slept either. So I was like, oh, this is not gonna be a good conversation. It's gonna be Ken talking and me listening, like that literally. So I thought, if I wanted to contribute a little bit more, I might have to move it up a week just so we can you know, generate the batteries back a bit. But you know,
You know what? Well, you know we haven't chatted, but by the way, like I got this weird friggin' throat thing, man, like out of nowhere. Dude, I feel like I haven't been healthy in like a month. Like the I was out of it, and then like do you hear I sound like a little nasally, right? I'm
yeah,
trying not
I can
to,
hear it a little bit, but not
but
nothing crazy.
so I got this like weird like cough. It just in the middle of me talking, it comes out of nowhere. But anyway, the uh the time thing. Well, we haven't done like a like a poll or anything. I guess maybe we could, right? To just see like like what's the right you know
Yeah,
mix because man I feel because people watch it, they watch, we get more people to watch it afterwards than get a chance to join, not by much, but I wonder if like because that would be really live is always a little bit different because they could ask us whatever they want, and we could give them the live response. I don't know. It's all good. But by the way, like that stuff, people are always going to be understanding. I mean,
yeah.
remember how I was like, "Oh my god, guys, I'm so sorry." It's like it's like they lost a loved one the one week that I had to take that break, and
Yeah.
they're all good, man.
That's
It's
sick.
all good.
Well,
And I,
like we've spoken about before with this podcast. This podcast is like a spontaneous thing that we just decided to do, and that's what I love about it because when you start a podcast, usually it's like, oh, I'm gonna start a pod like the one I have. We started the podcast because we want to get to know people and enjoy each other's company and learn about people that hang out with us and all that kind of stuff. Whereas you and me, like we did the podcast a couple of times, we were like, we could talk for 25 hours, like, and
yeah.
we'd be fine. And so why don't we, and then I'm pretty sure you came up with the idea and you said, why don't we just make a podcast out of it? And I was like, okay. I was just like, I don't see why that's a bad idea. Like, let's give it a go. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's like,
it's all been pretty organic. If I feel like we've said that to people, I know we have because I looked to see some of the older podcasts. And I'm like,
yeah,
we don't bring it up a lot, but bring it up once or twice. But we bring it up, guys, because like, I don't know how to say this like to make us sound like good and not bad because it's gonna sound a little bit bad, but there's not like an overwhelming amount of like to prepare for the podcast, like to get to that point. Yeah, yeah, there was like a lot of back and forth, a lot of preparing. But then once we got here, we both had just this like understanding of like, look, man. part of like why we have fun is because a lot of it is like off the cuff, and like and it's topics that's near and dear to us. So let's not like overthink it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that we don't, that we don't. I mean, it means a lot to us, and we take it like seriously, and we invest more time, where necessary. But I think we're on the same page in terms of like we kind of want to put each other a little bit on the spot with some of this stuff because that's when the real shit comes out. When it's over prepared, sometimes it's like scripted. You know.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, and especially when you say you go to like say you go to like a TED talk or something on this kind of thing, or you go to
Mhm.
like some sort of seminar, they have like it's like a bullet point thing. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like we get to the end of this bullet point, we go to the next bullet point. We might take some Q&A, like that kind of shit. It's so like scripted and like the way they do it is like so like structured. It's like a pyramid scheme of like structure. And it's just like we start at the real so the 3 points are here and then the 4 and then the 5 and it's just like
Oh
not
yeah,
that's not how a
yeah.
conversation works. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you're going to have a conversation and like the two of us we're talking to each other, right? We're not talking to like some sort of like corporate board meeting. Like we're talking to the two of us having a conversation about a topic that we're interested in. It's not like, now we need to do this and do this and do that. It's like, no, we don't because, we're not trying to like sell it to someone. We're just trying to enjoy the conversation of the topic. So I think it's a difference in that as well because like you
What's
can
your
tell,
first? What's your first?
because like, like it's not like I have 1 page of notes that I wrote like an hour ago. That's it. Like I don't like I don't need like
Fucking show off over here. Whole
you know
page of notes. Like,
I wrote it in five minutes. Like do you know what I mean? Like we don't need to like, just stack it. Like fuck me dead. Like don't worry about
dude,
that. Anyway.
it's funny. I want to clip this. I want to clip this like 5 minute little spiel we gave because like if we ever get an opportunity to do more, I want to see if we're able to maintain like the organicness that we appreciate because I've seen so many people go from like even like when I used to be on Instagram, I used to see people I could tell like they were getting recognized, they were getting known, whether it was a singer or like some kind of an artist, and a lot of them, man, once that fame hits and those corporate overlords come in, it's like I've always wondered, like, does it just happen, or do people feel forced to forced to be dude? All right, I know I'm going off topic, and I
No, go,
apologize,
go,
but
go, go.
you want to know something that like I was like I don't even know how it showed up on my YouTube feed, but remember Ninja, that streamer Ninja, the Fortnite guy?
Yeah.
Man, dude, there was this really powerful YouTube video. I felt bad for Ninja, but it talked about Ninja's like rise to like from being like a just a regular streamer to just, making millions a month to where he is today. And dude, I felt bad for Ninja because man, this guy really like exposed it. It looked a little personal to me. It didn't look like a very objective. But I will say this. I will say that it definitely appears that guy Ninja at some point in his journey lost his identity, and that's
Mm.
that's really that's really tough to do. I mean, hey, look, you know what? Not for nothing, but if that ever becomes a problem, that means you're in a good place to a degree. Gosh, then imagine the mental strength it must take for you to like pull yourself back into who you were at the same point in time, pleasing all these new people that you now have to be responsible for.
I
Crazy
agree.
stuff, man.
I mean, that's the thing about, your corporate overlord, so to speak. Like, they've got to make money. Otherwise, they wouldn't invest money, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, you're not going to, like, as from a business perspective, you're not going to invest money in something you think is not going to make you money. So they would probably have some sort of contractual control over stuff because otherwise, how would they be able to guarantee their interest? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. So like I guess the trick, right? The balance must be finding like that happy median,
The
right?
same with
Just
movie
like
stars, right? Like if you sign up for a movie, say, and then there's a contract, they say, "Hey, by the way, while you're making this movie, you're not allowed to do this, or you're not allowed to do this, or we want you to do this, or whatever it might be," because they have to guarantee that the actor that they've signed on is going to do what they asked them to do. Like, and if they break that contract, obviously exit clauses and guarantors and all that kind of stuff. I get it. Like, it's the same with streamers, right? Like if you say Ninja streaming to 100 million fucking people, and he's just, chilling, and then he says something that he's not supposed to say, and then they,
Oh,
pull
jeez.
advertisers and, all that kind of stuff. Like, it happens to, like, the biggest and best of us, like, you see
Yeah,
people, like, on Twitter and stuff, like, they
you're
say
talking
one
about
wrong
cancel
thing.
culture.
Oh,
Cancel
yeah.
culture.
It's big.
Bro.
They say one wrong thing, and all of a sudden it's like, see ya. Like, like,
Do you know that podcaster H3? Is it H3H3?
oh yeah. I heard about that. Yeah. With
Dude,
the
so
where they pulled
so
Donald
so
Trump's thing or whatever it was.
so that guy actually, like, he's been ripping on people for years. Like, whenever a podcaster says something he doesn't agree with, he's been one of the first people to be out there and, like, just like, basically trying to encourage those podcasters to be canceled. I
Yeah.
never thought I never thought him I never thought he would be vulnerable to the cancel culture, but man, his sponsors pulled it.
Yeah.
That's a man, that's just a scary, like, as a consumer though, it's like, man, like, I don't know, man. That's why, dude. That, like, I watch. If you pay, I don't know if anybody can see like what I watch, like on Twitch. I don't know if anybody can ever tell, but like I watch a lot of small streamers. But these are people that I think are fascinating, like because they're real, they're raw. Sometimes they talk about things where I'm like, all right. This is let's hear what it's all. I know that there's not like somebody like behind them, pulling the strings, right? Like, oh,
Yeah.
can't say that, can't say that, or go this way. You know what I mean? Ah, man.
I agree,
Emotion
but the the end of the
emotional
day,
intelligence fits in there somewhere.
yeah, no, dude, like this is the thing about all that kind of stuff. This is why what Elon Musk is doing is so important. You know what I mean?
Oh boy. Oh
Because
yeah.
everything he's doing right now with Twitter, people are saying one thing and what another thing is happening, sort of situation. Because like this guy, he's bringing the platform back to normality, I think, and like in a
Yeah.
way, because he's basically saying like you can't just silence people you disagree with. Like that's not a conversation. Like that's tyranny. Like you can't do that. That's actually not how society works or how the world works. Like if you're having a conversation with someone in the street and they say something you don't like, do you punch them in the face? No. That's not how it works. You say, hey, I differ in opinion to you. If you're a civil fucking human being, you say to them, oh, I don't agree with you, and then they ask you why. If they're an intelligent person, emotionally intelligent person, they will ask you why you disagree with them, and then you'll have that conversation in a normal way. Whereas like if someone comes up to me and says something and I say I disagree with that, I don't then say, but I don't want you to speak about it. I don't want you to talk about it. And now I'm gonna gutter stomp your head in. Like, no, that's not how life works. This is a fantasy world, right? So
Yeah.
at the end of the
Dude.
day, that's what Twitter is right now. Like, if you say something wrong on
Well,
Twitter, people just try to gutter stomp your head in. So it's like, well,
yeah, no,
instead,
100%.
instead of
Yeah.
doing that, bring back every single person on that platform. Let them say whatever the fuck they want, and you know what it is. At the end of the day, just moderate it against the stuff that is damaging to others. You know what I mean? And
Dude.
that's it. Let people
This is,
say what they want to say. It's not fucking rocket science. You know?
dude.
It's like,
You know what? So we're like really living through like such a remarkable time. I tell you what, I don't know much about the guy. I knew he created the Tesla. That's all
I
I
know
knew about the
everything
guy.
about this guy. I read his biographies. I've watched him from day one. Everything he does. I'm
Oh,
fucking
really?
dude. I
Oh,
love
wow.
him. Like he's
But
fascinating.
so, well, that's actually good though, because because we're like on not on opposite ends of the spectrum, but like like a lot I don't. So so I'm as an outsider looking in, not really knowing him. When he I'm gonna fucking butcher it, but like he made like a comment that really like blew my mind. Like it fucking resonated with me like on a spiritual level. He made a comment um about like social media just being like the way the world communicates, right? Like that this and Twitter is the town square of that communication,
Correct.
something along those lines. And but I was like, yo, dude, this fucking guy is so right. He makes so much sense. And then I started paying attention to like there was a lot of uproar, and without getting into like politics as an observer, it seemed like it was really kind of coming from, like a certain way of thinking, a certain side, just my own personal observation of what I saw going on. And then I thought to myself, because see, part of emotional intelligence is being able to like really empathize, even if it's somebody that you terribly, terribly disagree with. Having strong emotional intelligence could be such a powerful thing, and can get even your worst adversary to understand you, not agree with you, but understand you.
Yeah.
So I was trying to do that. I was trying to do that, and I thought, I think I get it, because what I was thinking is, so you shouldn't, like flip the fuck out if somebody disagrees with you, and just silence it down. Like that's not the way to really kind of get by in life, right? But if you've been a part of this platform, and this is the town square, this is one of the main sources of communication, and you've gotten so used to uh being able to kind of really speak freely, and any ideas that really kind of counter your ideas for a long time, I could understand that. Like I was able to understand the uproar. Basically, I didn't agree with it. I didn't think it's valid, but I was able to understand where it came from. Does that make sense? Like what it says, I don't agree with like all this bitching and shit. It's fucking over dramatized. It's hyperbolic to the fucking 10th power. But I get it. I see where it's coming from.
Yeah, I think it has a little bit to do with people's anger of misunderstanding too. Like, you get told one thing, but another thing's happening. And I think a lot of people are just like too lazy to fucking look into it. And that's a problem in our society today, because our society today, it should be like, you have the world of information at the click of a button. You can find out anything you want, right? But in between you clicking the button and finding out what you want, you have to siphon through all the bullshit, right? So like, there is not like, so if you Google something, right, and you're trying to find the answer to something, and you Google it and you go, okay, this is what I want to find out. The first thing you see may not be the actual thing you're looking for, right? But that's the first thing you click on, because you can't be bothered to like search for it. Do you know what I mean? So like,
100%.
and at the end of the day, Google is a conglomerate that has its own opinions. So it's not gonna make a difference either way, because like at the end of the look, I have a big thing on this. We can go into this topic. I think this is going to be like a topic I'd love to talk about actually. But when it comes to misinformation in the internet, like I could talk about it for literally days, but we might have to separate that into a non-live, because we'll probably get taken down for that one. But
we're good. We're good here in the States though, because our president is creating a misinformation task force.
Yeah, exactly. You'll be fine. So,
we're getting banned. Last show.
Yeah. If you get it, you get it. But anyway, at the end of the day, look, what he's doing is a fucking fantastic thing, and I wish him all the best. And look, I wish more billionaires in the world who had that much power, that much pull, and that much drive to change the world actually fucking did it, rather than just hemorrhaged it like most do. So I think I'm very excited to see what happens with it, and I don't think it's a coincidence that millions and millions and millions of people on a certain side of the political spectrum are increasing in followage every single hour of every single day right now, and the others are losing followers, because somebody's clicked the switch on the algorithm there, and we'll just see what happens from there. But anyway, dude, enough about that topic.
This could be. You see, look, just so everybody know, this is part of why it's so fun. Like what we do, because like we had no idea that whole spiel was going to come, but because it was let out, and look, we'll end it so we can go into more into like the real nuances of emotional intelligence. But now we got ourselves an interesting little topic to talk about. As far as how the hell we're going to talk about it on what platform, we'll figure that out.
Yeah, well, might be an OnlyFans one. That one.
I'm game.
Anyway, emotional intelligence, man. Look, I mean, we've covered a fair few topics when it comes to empowerment, and Also, I wanted to say a big thank you to Toko for coming in, because I know
Yeah, it's okay.
Toko is one of my favorite people in the world.
She
Um,
rocks, man.
she is amazing. Every time I hang out and I'll talk with Toko, it's a ball of energy, happiness. I love it. Like, and you know, every now and again, Toko is one of those people, sorry, that can also like share her emotions with me as well. Like, and I love that about her. So I appreciate you coming in, Toko, and I appreciate you hanging out with us. For however long it might be, it's a pleasure. But yeah, of all the topics we've talked about, emotional intelligence, I mean, it's probably the most basic one, I think, because I mean, yeah, like each topic that we've talked about has its base, like confidence was set, like it was all very, very, straightforward. Definitely define this, move on for this. We figured out a way to talk about it pretty easily. But emotional intelligence basically ties into everything we've already talked about. It's sort of an extension of all the things we've talked about, because like we could just talk about this for the entire thing, pretty much.
Yeah.
But when we say emotional intelligence, I feel like it can be applied to many different topics or many different parts of your life, if that makes sense. Like whether it be your family, your friends, your workplace, how you interact with someone on the phone, how you interact with someone on the internet, how you interact with just someone in your daily life. It doesn't matter who it is. It's about using your brain. You know what I mean? Like and again, I think I spoke about this last week, but one of the greatest things I've ever learned in my life, and I remember this, was when I was in grade 4, right? And then also little childhood Adam, like, like about 4 foot high, weighed about, 35 kilos. And when I was in primary school, my primary school math teacher, we were just having a conversation, and she said to me, one of the greatest things that I'll never forget. She says, "If you don't learn anything in this life, I just want you to remember one thing." And I go, "What's that?" And she's like, "Engage your brain before engaging your mouth," is what she said to me. And I've never forgotten that. Because a lot of the times I engaged my mouth before engaging my brain when I was younger. And then I would stop and I'd think about it, and then I'd say something else. You know what I mean? So like I was kind of like, I would say what I was feeling, right? But then I would step back and be like, wait a second, that didn't sound right. But I did it all the time, right? Because it's just like it's a reaction. It's a reaction to like whatever is going on. So you just say it, and then you're like, oh shit, like was that really necessary, or did that really make sense? Or instead of just saying stuff, you know what I mean? Emotional intelligence is basically the way you engage your own self. You're like, okay, instead of just saying this, like, how about I think about it first and then say it? So that's sort of like the basic of basic emotional intelligence situations,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, sir. It's about being self-aware, guys. So, like, has anyone ever done something where they're like, they know what the right thing to do is, but they did the wrong thing anyway?
Yeah.
Even though, and everybody, because I can think of some too, even though you did the wrong thing in that situation, you have emotional intelligence in you. Self-awareness is a big part of it. Like Adam said, just a second ago, being able to, before that mouth opens up and rattles something off, right? Stop and think about it for a moment. The, the, there's so many different components to it. Now, I'm going to go back to, wait, Adam, sorry, did I cut you off, dude?
No, not at all.
All right, sorry. The, what I was saying before, right, about how I was reading. I want to tell you about a friend of mine, right? Because there was a few people talking about this today, right? And I was in a group text, and there was another friend of mine who, very similar to me, wasn't too aware of kind of like what was going on, but he started seeing like all this like uproar and stuff, and he reacted to it like, dude, these people, like, what are they fucking thinking? How could they be so like so narrow minded, so one sided, and this and that, blah blah. And then I responded the way you did. I mean, the way I told you, remember? Where I was kind of like, hey, look, I'm not saying I agree with them, but I could understand it. You know what I mean? by being able to understand them, maybe that could open it up to a conversation and just say, "Hey, look, I get you." You know what I mean? Like that. I can't even tell you how powerful that is, man. Because if there is an opportunity to have a conversation and understand somebody and take them from being your adversary or not liking you or not wanting to give you the job promotion or whatever it is, if there is an opportunity for you to switch that, guess what? It's not going to happen by you saying, "Oh, you're so fucking dumb. How could you be so one-sided and narrow-minded?" It's not going to work that way. It's gonna be a little bit of empathy. It's gonna be a little bit of self-awareness on your end to try your best to be empathetic and understand.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to overcomplicate it because I didn't put it in a very simple way, and he's right, and it makes 100% sense. But there's so much that goes on, behind the scenes. But if you can manage to have that control, those thoughts that creep in, the moment somebody tells you something, the moment you see a commercial, the moment you get the news about whether you were accepted to a college or you got the job, if you could take a moment to pay attention to the way that it makes you feel, oh man, let me tell you something. That's why we're talking about this, because we're trying to talk about all the different things that can empower you, that can give you power, give you strength. That's a big, big component is emotional intelligence.
Well, it adds depth to your character too. Remember, so like, I mean, if you have the ability to be if you have the ability to insert your knowledge into a conversation without being emotional, like you actually have a control over that conversation. You know what I mean? You don't think you do, but you do, because chances are, like, especially in it doesn't even have to be in a heated situation. It could just be in a general conversation sort of way. So say, for example, you are at a grocery store or something, right? And somebody is pushed in front of you, right? How do you handle that situation? Like, a lot of people, like, the first thing, like, a lot of people who are emotionally charged will start yelling, right? They'll just be like, "Hey, fuck you, how dare you push in front of me," etc., etc. When you start a conversation like that, you've set a precedence, right? You basically set the precedence that this person is like your adversary and you're going to like throw a spear in their head. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, this is what's going to happen today. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But it's not going to solve any problems. It's just going to cause more problems when there wasn't any problems to begin with, because you could have dealt with it in an easier way. Now, you don't know what that other person's going to be like. That other person might be a massive cunt. Like, you don't know. They might have just been like, okay, it's time to, like, take my anger out on this person today, so I'm going to push in front of them. You don't know that. However, they could also be the person that's pushed in front of you but didn't even realize they did so. And you know what I mean? And they've just made a mistake. And now you've just piled on them, basically. You've just like choke slammed them through the fucking ring. You know what I mean? Like, and at the end of the day, like, if that as a person makes you feel better, right? What does that say about you? Do you know what I mean? What does that say about you? If you going out of your way to hurt someone's feelings or upset someone makes you feel better, then you're a cunt. You're a dickhead, okay? There's no ifs or buts about it. Like, you got to think about it, look at yourself in the mirror a bit, because, like, you know what, if both people had the emotional intelligence to handle that conversation and that situation in an easy way, it could be resolved in 5 seconds and no one would have an issue, right? And there would be no animosity, there would be no anger. That person would be like, "Oh, no worries, I'll just head on behind you." Or you could just be like, "You know what, that's okay, you've got less items, go ahead of me, that's all good, I don't mind." You know what I mean? Like, there's easier ways to solve these things. I mean, as an example, whatever, but you know what I mean? Like, you can apply that to any situation, any conversation. You just need to want to, you know what I mean? But if you want to be that dickhead and you want to be that person that just, like, tells everyone to fuck off all the time, you're going to be a sad, like, lonely person. I can tell you, because people don't want to be around you, and you're not going to have an intelligent conversation with anyone because no one's going to want to engage with you.
And you're not going to accomplish much.
Yeah.
You just won't, because we need allies. We need people to accomplish a lot of the things that are important to us. So for
Exactly.
100%, dude.
We all know people like that too, by the way. Like, there is people in
Well,
life that that do that. Like, the first thing they're going to say is something negative. You know that. Do you know what I mean? But
the
it's them. It's their character. They've built themselves up on that kind of stuff. Like, if they're not that person, they feel lost. Do you know what I mean? But I don't think they've realized what they're doing. I think they just do it because it's just the way they've always done things. I don't think they actually notice or realize what they're doing, because if you noticed and realized that you were doing that, you wouldn't do it.
I agree with you 100%. As a matter of fact, I've had this conversation plenty of times. I feel like most of the time, maybe not all the time, but I feel like most of the time, people who are that way, consistently that way, probably don't really have an idea of how they're being, or why they're even being that way. But the moment that you're able to kind of break it down for them and help them understand, there's always a little depends on how old they are, to be honest with you, because the older they are, it's harder to teach an old dog new tricks. But I will say this: but once they start to see, once we kind of like, if we were to have the conversation with them, they would be nodding a lot. If we said, hey, give us a chance to talk to you for a little bit, just hear
Yeah.
us out, there would be a lot of nods. And then eventually, if they weren't stubborn, and they had an inkling to get better and really figure out what's going on, they would be like, okay, all right, yeah. Oh, I never really realized that that's what was going on. This makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. Um, I know. I mean, I've known people like that in positions of power, or positions of business or whatever like that, and like they act like that every day. Like, it's the way they think they have to act in order to, like, so they have to, like, give this persona of strength in order to get across what they want to be done, right? But doesn't necessarily need to be done like that. I mean, strength and confidence is different, remember, because having confidence about talking to someone is just knowing what the topic is, knowing what you're talking about, being
Right.
confident in yourself, and talking about things. But strength is trying to strong arm someone into a conversation. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you try
Yep.
to strong arm someone into a direction of a conversation you want to talk about or what you want to do, chances are that person's not going to come with you, because they're either intimidated by the fact that you're doing so, they're
Oh yeah.
confused by the fact that you're doing so, or they just don't want to have that conversation because it's uncomfortable for them. So it's like you're actually doing the opposite of what you're trying to achieve. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, dude. That's the difference between being aggressive and assertive.
Yes.
Aggressive is being like, he's using that strength, like Adam was just talking about. Using the strength, and portraying that as convincing somebody to see things your way. No, the people, nobody wants to be told what to do or forced into doing it. We've seen around the world that does not work. But you could still say something with confidence and assertiveness, where people are, somebody will look at you and say, okay, you said that because you're very confident in what you said, I could tell, rather than, sounds like this guy's trying to force me into this into this idea.
Correct.
um I want to keep kind of going down this road, but I wanted to just add to what Pit Slayer said. He said, sounds like when he asked about a pay raise, he explained why in the reasoning, which is what you should do. Why he was why he was asking for one, and his boss didn't say anything, and he laughed at him. I will say this, and this I'll just give you kind of like a little feedback, and then I want Adam to I want Adam to tie you to emotional intelligence. That's so funny. I don't know why I was thinking that in my head, Adam. Sorry,
No,
I
that's
didn't mean to
okay.
put you on the spot. But or you could say, Adam, you tell me how you think. But this is what I would do in that situation, right? When you have a good amount of emotional intelligence and you're confident in what you're saying, because guys, don't forget, a lot of these are intertwined. If I'm in that same conversation, and I'm talking to my boss, and I'm giving him hey, look, this is what I've done, this is what I've accomplished over the course of whatever, and this is why I feel like I deserve the pay raise, and it means a lot to me. If he or she just smiles at me and laughs, this is where really, really, like, I'm talking about marquee peak emotional intelligence kicks in, because the emotion, you're gonna feel it. That's the beauty in all this. You feel it, but rather than acting out like, like, what, do you disagree? Like, this is what I've done. If you could take control of that, if you could harness that, okay, and for a second empathize and say, hey, you know what? Maybe they don't realize how serious it is to me. Let me
Mm.
come back with, okay, fair enough. I wasn't trying to be funny, but I get it. Maybe you could tell me what it is that I need to do to earn that raise, dude. You say that, and I'm not saying that would have worked, but I'm saying in a lot of cases, saying something like that, maybe they'll still be assholes, but it's going to be a lot harder for them to be an asshole, because now you've taken away their power. Because when somebody does that, they're being an asshole. They're trying to act like, oh, I'm the authoritative figure. I'm being a prick, whatever. But when you take that away from them, man, because I've
Mm-hmm.
had those conversations my entire career.
Yeah, 100%. And this is the other reason why, like, when I, you know, uh, something to relate to that. I mean, I've got plenty of stories that relate to that I've spoken to about in the past when it comes to, dealing with like managers and, people above you and stuff like that. But from a perspective of a self-employed person as well, dealing with customers like that too, like I get that a lot too. Like, I'll have a customer come to me being like, they start the conversation in a way that pits them above my level of knowledge. Okay.
Yeah.
So like when it comes to cars, there is nothing I can't fix on a fucking car. Okay. I've worked on cars for half my life to the point where like I can rebuild an Audi engine and put it like in like with my fucking eyes closed. Okay. So, but basically that's my job. That's what I was good at. That's what I am good at. And that's what I've done forever. Now, imagine somebody comes to you and tells you you're doing it wrong. Okay. How would you feel about that? So if someone comes to you and goes, the thing that you've been working on for the last 14 years, I'm about to tell you that you're full of shit, right? I'm just like, I don't know if I'll take that person seriously, to be honest. Like,
Right.
I think coming into a conversation with a, your big step forward and the strength to say things that you have no idea what you're fucking talking about is not a good way to start a conversation. Because if somebody knows enough about the topic that you're talking about and they're actually really like knowledgeable about it, they're gonna call you bullshit pretty quick, right? So, for example, when a customer comes to me, they start the conversation with, "Hey, I just need my brake pads replaced." You know what I mean? If they start the conversation with that, it's like, yeah, I've seen people do it before. I've definitely, I know how long it takes, and I just need that done. So, if you could just come do that for me. And now, anyone who knows cars, if you think about when it comes to European cars, especially, knows that European cars use ceramic brake discs, right? They use ceramic brake discs and they use compound pad, like, bits and pieces. Now, in order to replace brakes on an Audi, you have to replace discs as well because of the soft brake disc, right? On an old Toyota, you could just do a pad slap, but because they're steel, right? But steel wears differently, Steel is easier to shave, it's easier to fix. Ceramic, you have to replace it because it's just the contact surface doesn't run flat, okay? So you just replace it, right? Now, when someone comes to me with a $100,000 car and tries to tell me how to do my job, I basically just say to them, unfortunately, that's incorrect. Like, I don't say you're wrong, fuck you. No, I don't say that. It's not the way to approach the conversation because, like, I already know I'm right. I don't need to argue with this person about the technicalities of Audi disc brakes. I studied it. Like, so basically, you just say to this person, you go, actually, when it comes, and you just explain it, when it comes to replacing Audi disc brakes, you actually need to replace the disc pad and the disc itself, the rotor itself, because of the compound nature of the pads. And then that person will either be like, okay, I didn't know that, because they come into the conversation and with the knowledge that their car is apparently a Toyota, or they will then say to you, no, that's incorrect. Now, when somebody says to me that, you have an option at that point, right? You have an option to either continue the conversation and then reiterate your point, or you can end the conversation there and say, all right, then. I'm like, so there's one way and another way. The first way would be to say, okay, I understand that you're telling me what it is that you understand, but I'm telling you that's incorrect. You can go down that line. It's probably a conversation that's going to go around in fucking circles. However, the next step would be like, okay, if that's for you, that's the way you want to go about it, I'd like you to find another mechanic. You can do that, right? You can then say, okay, it's time for you to move on to somewhere else and go and upset someone else's day, because like at the end of the day, mate, they've called and they've started the conversation with the pretense of them being up here, right? Because they thought the only way for them to get what they want is to come from a position of power, okay? Now, people don't respond to that very well, okay? I've been victim of it too. Like, I don't respond to people like that very well unless they have, if a psychologist is coming to me and wants to talk to me about emotional intelligence psychology, they can start from up here because they're the person that studied it for the last 6 years, right? I don't mind about that. I'm happy to learn something, but like, you know what I mean? Like, but if somebody's coming into and they've just bought a brand new car and they're like, oh, I know how this engine works. It's like, no, well, I don't think you do. But the point is, you can level with those people and people who are emotionally intelligent. And if they do start the conversation from up here, it's obviously because they knew that they would come back down to here. Do you know what I mean? Because they thought if I could pull this fast one over this person, I might be able to save $1. But if they start from up here and then you can drag them back down to here, they have emotional intelligence. They just wanted to like try and test you, I guess, in a way. However, the people that start from up here that have no idea what the fuck they're talking about, those people aren't worth your time. Okay, so just let them go. Like, because at the end of the day, you'll do the job, right? You'll do the job, and I can almost guarantee you that's the first person that's going to call you at 10 o'clock at night on a fucking Monday, because it'll just cause you more headaches. You're better to take the loss, so to speak, than have to deal with that person again, because they're always going to start the conversation from here, and it's just not going to work for you.
Dude, I love that story.
Mm.
I love the way you told it because you introduced something I don't think we touched on yet. You introduced that there's levels to this. That's the beauty of emotional intelligence, right? Because in the story that you just shared, right? You gave a couple of different ways to handle it. One of them was the breakup strategy, which I personally love that strategy.
Yeah.
You could do that. You could use that in so many situations where when somebody comes in with their really strong ego and they're trying to you could say, you know what? That's all good. I've been doing this a long time. I feel otherwise, and to be honest with you, I don't feel like it'd be the smart or safe thing for me to do that. Maybe we're just not. We're not a good fit for each other.
Yeah.
And then fucking then it's like, well, where am I supposed to go?
Dude, the amount of times that I go down that path when it comes to that strategy, and the amount of times I get a phone call 10 minutes later is phenomenal. You would be surprised at how quickly people evaluate that in their brain. Like, you just basically, because they don't think you're ever going to say no to them. Now, the thing about business, right, you'll know this as well, especially when you are selling a product, is people don't think they're going to be denied the product. Okay.
Yeah.
So they don't believe that you have the capacity to say no to money. Okay. They think, oh no, this person has to make $1 right now, so they're definitely going to do exactly what I ask. Incorrect. This is not how it works. That's how the world works. If you don't want to do something, I don't care if you're going to make $1 million on it. It's going to cause you a headache later on. Don't do it. Okay? Don't do it.
That's it.
Make a smarter decision. Think about the way it's going to affect you in the future rather than in the now. Okay? Because at the end of the day, if you don't foresee something as a problem when you know it's a problem now, you are literally making more work for yourself. Like, it's not worth it. Trust me. I have been there.
Dude, oh man. Well, I won't go too much into work, but Adam did it. He introduced it.
No, go for it. Go for it.
So like I sell technology, all right, for back office operations, and it's an enterprise wide, meaning for large corporations. It can appear to be like robust or overcomplicated or maybe like bells and whistles, right?
Mhm.
So, but it's not. It's actually very necessary. And I have competitors who sell different components of what I sell, and oftentimes they try to sell to these large corporations and just you don't really need all that. Here's the focus and this and that. So this strategy that we're talking about, you're 100% right in terms of like it being a very valuable sales tool. Because when I go into a conversation and somebody tells me, "Oh yeah, ABC competitor, they've already given me a quote, and they can get this," I always tell them, "So, well, part of what I do, right, is I want to have a conversation with you. Let me understand what's going on, okay, under the hood, if you will, okay, because my solution it is very broad, it is very robust, and it aligns with a lot of different challenges. Now, if after that conversation I feel like, yeah, you know what? Maybe we are too much, and there's no reason for us to talk anymore. Really, I don't want to waste my time as much as you don't want to waste yours.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many executives they give me that look like, all right, good, good, I'll hear you out. And then at the end of it, it's just like they have to be open minded about it though. But I will say this: if the response is different, if the response is, oh no, this is like, nah, I just want to know about this part. I just want to know about this part. I know that it's going to be more than that, but they're being stubborn. I'll tell
Yeah.
them. I've done this. I've said that's fair. And hey, look, your company, your business better than I do. But in terms of this my solution and the way I know it applies to businesses and how it impacts them, that it's not going to be a good fit, but
Yeah.
if in the future, you kind of want to expand and look beyond that to a more broader solution, I'd love to have the conversation. I can't even tell you, I've never had somebody not call me back. Never. I've never had anybody not. But most of the time, the first time they have that conversation, but there are people, because of their egos, they'll hang up the phone or they'll walk out of the meeting, but then they'll come back. That's so effective, man. That's so
Yeah.
effective in interpersonal relationships, career, across the board. It's such an effective way to do it. But the levels thing, right? I wanted to talk about the levels thing, um, because part of emotional intelligence, right, is being able to regulate yourself on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
What I mean by that is, if you find yourself in a situation, right, and your initial reaction is, let's just say, anger or aggression or whatever, but the person you're talking to or the conversation you're having is tied to a goal of yours, a bigger, broader goal.
Yes.
Okay. The power, okay, to pull back on the aggression, to let empathy kick in, okay, to let self-regulation balance you out, and then just have that conversation and let them get this little win for the sake of the broader goal. That's really that's really what we want people to understand, because
Correct.
you always got to think of the bigger win. All right. If Adam and I were having a conversation with somebody who could potentially give us both like a really, really massive opportunity, and they were being, like a prick and egotistical, I mean, we wouldn't let them get away with all of it. Perhaps it depends. But I'm pretty confident that the both of us would be a little bit different than the way we are, because, we're very opinionated, and we're very assertive in the way we speak. But we could pull that back if we know that we have a vested interest in whoever it is that we're having this experience with,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, does
Yeah.
that make sense?
No, I agree. The thing you got to remember too, the two things you got to use when you evaluate a conversation with someone is, the first reason is, why are you having the conversation in the first place? Like, what is the point of having a conversation with this person in the first place? What are you going to get out of that conversation? You know what I mean? Like, you have a conversation with, so put it this way, it is perfect example. I have a conversation with my mom every single day. Why do I do that? What's the point in that? Because I love my mom. I want to talk to my mom. I don't care what we talk about. It doesn't really matter. The end goal is just the fact that I talk to her. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's relationship building. That's like what you do, like with your loved ones, right? Now,
Right.
the reason I call a phone company, right, is completely different to that. The reason I call a phone company is because I have an end goal. I want my phone to fucking work. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want it to get cut off every 5 seconds. I mean, you have a goal in mind when it comes to that conversation. The reason you're talking to your boss, right, is because you want a pay rise. Like, just like what Pitt said. Like, there's always a reason for a conversation. You don't have a pointless conversation with someone at a bus stop. You just don't do it, right? You know what I mean? I know some people that do, and I don't understand it at all. Like, I have this problem with it. Like, my mom, right? I love my mom to death. She has pointless conversations with people all day, right? Like, we'll be walking down the street, and I don't know what it is about children, right? My mom is obsessed with kids. She loves babies. You know what I mean? Like, it must be a woman thing. But anyway, so like, just pushing the baby in the pram, and this lady's walking along, and my mom just starts talking to the lady about her child. I'm like, I don't see the point in the conversation. Like, it led to nothing. It achieved nothing, but it makes my mum feel good. So I don't know, like, I don't get it. Okay. Like, it's the same reason why if I'm at a sports event or something, I'm not talking to the person next to me while the game's on, because I know they're watching the game. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. I 100% like, but because I have this mentality, right, that I'm like, if I'm going to have a conversation with someone, I want a goal in mind. Do you know what I mean? Like, why am I having a conversation in the first place? So like, it's also it's a perceptive thing. I understand, but yeah, that kind of ties into what you just said, because like, you're evaluating the conversation, and it's a step thing in your head. Like, but a lot of people that come into conversations, they start the conversation without a goal in mind, and then you'll notice the conversation goes fucking nowhere. Like, it goes nowhere, because it was pointless to have in the first place. Now, I mean, you know, like not all conversations are worth having. You know, like
Dude, I'm laughing because that frustrates me too, and I don't know why, and I
I
know
don't
it's
get
not
it.
fair, it's not right, but like, so I think the same thing. Like, dude, this is one of the most pointless discussions. What's the end here? Is it
I've
just
laid
a
witness to it as well. Like, you know, when you're sitting with your mates at the dinner table or something, and someone starts talking to someone about something, and you're just like, you sit back and kind of listen to it, and you're like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what are you
dude,
guys talking about? Like, it makes me laugh sometimes, just like listening to stuff. But this is the thing, like, it was important to that person to have that conversation, whether it be like because they felt awkward, or maybe it was because they just had to, like, it was just in their nature to engage, or whatever it might be. Like, there's probably a reason behind it, but I can't understand it. Like, this is the thing. Like, I wanted to understand it, but I don't get it. Like, you know, you talk to someone at the hardware store, like, who works there, right? Because you're trying to find a product. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's always a point to a conversation. So, I think what I'm trying to get at is, like, I want everyone to, like, look at their lives, like, look at what they do on a daily basis, right? How many pointless conversations do you have in a day, and how many conversations do you have that are actually leading to something? And I want you to no, just try. I just want you to try about it, because this is a way you can, like, actually engage your emotional intelligence, right? Because the less
yeah,
pointless
that's true.
conversations you have in a day, the more time you'll have to think about your emotional intelligence when you have a good one. I'm telling you. I know this sounds really ridiculous, but it's true. Like, you know,
No, yeah, I agree with you. I'm laughing. I'm thinking like how many people are gonna be like, holy shit, I never realized how many pointless conversations I
it's a
had.
self-realization thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like you look at your day and you're like, I had this conversation, and I could have had 4 less conversations today. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not telling you to be an introvert. I'm not telling you to, like, you know, be a mute and, like, be rude and stuff. All I'm saying is like, you know, just think about it.
Yeah,
Because,
be a
you know,
little more aware. That's all.
because it'll make you think. It'll make you think. And when you're having a pointless conversation, right? And like, say tomorrow you're having a conversation, you're like, you'll realize, you'll have that little self realization in your head that says, Adam told me this was a pointless conversation. And you will, it'll change your perspective of that conversation, because you know what'll happen during that time. And this is going to blow your fucking mind. During that conversation that you know is pointless, all of a sudden your brain will start to formulate a goal for that conversation. All
Oh
right?
yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
that's what it's like to be emotionally intelligent, because that's what it's like to be emotionally intelligent from, like, a business perspective, right? Whereas, like, you're talking to someone, and if you have no goal for that person, you create one. Okay, you see what I did there? So next time you're having a conversation, and you think in your head, you go, oh shit, this is a kind of pointless conversation. Formulate a goal for the conversation. And if there is no goal formulated for that conversation, end that conversation and go and do something else. I'm telling you, it's going to save you some fucking time. Like,
Man, I was gonna add, but you fucking finished it. You're right. That's what happens. Once that special dude, awareness is a beautiful thing when it comes to this whole formula of
yeah,
emotional intelligence. But you're 100% right, man. The moment you, yeah, one of two things will happen. Like you said, you'll realize that all right, this is going nowhere. But there's an opportunity here, or you're just gonna want to end it. The awareness part of it is pretty remarkable because here's the thing, right? And this kind of has to do with confidence, too. Because look, nobody, unless you're like, I don't know, like an Elon Musk or Ben Shapiro kind of person where you're just fucking brilliant beyond belief and you have so much information on you. Nobody like knows everything.
mm,
You know what I mean? And let me tell you something. To be really emotionally intelligent and and confident at the same time doesn't mean you have to know a whole lot. Because awareness, okay, there's levels to that too. That also means being aware of your weaknesses and being okay with that.
mm-hmm.
I could give you an example because I come across this example. So I speak to a lot of different businesses on a daily basis. They do all kinds of shit from aviation to manufacturing, like all kinds of stuff. Sometimes I have enough time to look into it and try and understand the business a little bit. Other times, no matter how hard I try, I'm like, what the fuck do they do? But I'll be in that conversation, right? And even if it comes up, I'll say, you know what? To be honest with you, I'm not really sure how that works, but I'd love to know how that works and see, so that I can understand better as to why it's important to you, how it impacts your business, and how it impacts the employees. And I say it like that with the slight assertiveness, but also not overly, because look, I'm asking them to be a little bit open with me and give me some information. That right there is powerful. I can't tell you how many of my colleagues they like freak the fuck out, like, oh man, I don't know anything about their business. What am I gonna do? And I'm like, dude, how long have you been doing this? What do you mean you don't know what to do?
It's
Let,
awesome.
let's 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 have a let's have a conversation about emotional intelligence. But do you get what I'm saying though? Like it's being okay with your weaknesses, right?
Yeah.
Right? Being aware of them, yet still being able to be confident and assertive and comfortable with that to move forward in a conversation and approach people and meet the goals that you're looking to meet.
Yeah, it goes back to the professional example of like in and out of your depth. Do you know what I mean? So like if you're speaking to someone who, say for Brit, for example, Brit is a marketing manager, right? If I was
Oh,
to talk to Brit about marketing, right, I would be the one who is learning. Do you know what I mean? I'm not trying to tell her how marketing works because
yeah.
she's the marketing queen. Like she knows everything about it. Like this is why I ask her for advice all the time when it comes to like streaming and all this kind of stuff and all the different bits and pieces I make and
Ah,
that. I always ask her questions, but at the end of the day, like I'm not gonna enter a conversation with Brit and be like from like up here when it comes to marketing, be like, hey, I know everything there is to know about social media management. Could you just point me in the right direction for this? It's like, no, that's not how you kind of start a conversation with that. You come in and you say, hey, I have an idea that I want to express when it comes to this topic, but I just want to make sure with your knowledge that I can do it correctly. That's where you got to start the conversation. So that's the professional perspective of emotional intelligence because like, like you said with calling someone. So like if you're calling someone to sell them something to their business and you don't know what they do, how are you supposed to pitch that to them? Do you know what I mean? Like it's an impossibility. Like you're basically
right.
like trying to throw mud at a wall and see if it sticks, and without even knowing that the wall is there. Like it's just pointless. Like you know what I mean? Like so
100%.
if you have the confidence to just say, hey, um, I want to sell you this product. All right, okay. I know this product in and out. But in order to understand in order to sell you this product correctly, I need to understand your business at a greater level so that I can apply it to your business. You know what I mean? And then that person goes, okay, well, let me give you a little bit of information about my business because obviously their business, they know everything about it, right? And if they don't, then they're terrible at their job. But if they do, they will come back to you say, okay, this is what our business is about. This is why I think this product is good for our business. They basically sold the product to themselves. You didn't have to do anything, okay? You've learned everything you need to know in order to do your job correctly. And then all you have to do is, okay, so here's our product. Problem solved. Like it's very simple. Like it's I don't know.
It's
You
yeah.
have to ask the right questions. Like
It's it's funny the at my job, right? So we have this discussion all the time, right? Because I'm purely in sales. Like that's what I do. I'm in sales. I've always been in sales my entire career. So like having the ability to have these conversations off the cuff, it needs to be almost natural. There's a very high expectation of the people that are in kind of in my at my level of what I do for a living. But the way you're talking about, it's pretty fascinating because, you probably don't even like know what a discovery call is, and nobody does. I mean, unless you're in corporate America, but that's what you're talking about is very true.
yeah.
Part of being at that level, right, is being able to have a discovery call, uh, and know enough to ask the right questions. Know enough to ask the right questions. You could apply that to a business conversation. You could apply that to a date, right? Even if
Yep.
you're I mean, look, I've been out of the dating game for a while, but when I was in the dating game, I didn't study it like kind of how we're studying it now, per se, but it's is what we're doing now. At the time though, I really did look at things, this way. I really did look at things as, hey, it's important for me to have enough background to ask the right questions, because let me tell you something, even till this day, man, the old adage, people people still buy from people that they like. Because if I'm being honest, in terms of what I sell and my competitors, there's very slight differences.
Hmm.
To be real honest, most of them does the same shit. But the most significant differences lie in the experience, and that's what I control. I control the experience that they're having. If I can make them feel good, if I could show them that, hey, I'm selling with integrity, okay, this is gonna align with everything that we're talking about. If not, we don't even have to do business. Saying that shit and having the courage to, and I'm talking about in a professional environment, but still think about it in an interpersonal relationship. You know what I mean? If you're talking to somebody and you tell them like, listen, man, like let me hear you out, man. I might be able to help you, okay? And if I can't, I'm gonna be the first one to tell you, man. And I'll see if we can get somebody else to probably help you. Come
Yeah.
on, man. You say that to a friend, they're gonna respond well, because we're using professional, we're using all different examples, but the subject pertains to every relationship in your life, everything, your work, your family, your friends, all of it.
100%. I agree.
You know what I mean? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Know what you mean?
Who's
Oh,
with us? Who's with us?
surely. Um, yeah, I mean, we've addressed all of that about how you approach the conversation. I think the other thing now I want to discuss or go into is like not just the emotional intelligence to have the conversation, is the emotional intelligence to react to the conversation as well. So like
Ooh,
a little bit of a different direction, I know, but I kind of want to dive into this a little bit, and
let's do it, man.
I want to hear your thoughts on it. So when somebody hears information,
Mhm.
what is the reason they have an emotional reaction to it? So like, you see
Ah,
where I'm going? So like,
mm,
if somebody hears something sad, why do they cry? You know what I mean? If somebody hears
mm,
something that's celebratory, why do they get excited? Like, this is the thing too. Like, you can be in control of that. Do you know what I mean? Like, when I say you can be in control of that, I mean like if someone tells you something that's really sad that really affects you, you can control that. You don't have to cry. This is the whole like. I'm not. I know this is gonna sound like super like against whatever. Like it's like, what are you, a fucking robot? No, that's not what I mean. What I mean is like in making sure you engage your emotions to fit the severity of the information that you're hearing. Okay, so like when somebody hears like of a death of a loved one, right? Of course, that's going to be an emotional response. You're probably going to cry. Okay, I understand that, because if you're empathetic and you're sympathetic and you're sad, you'll cry. That's totally fine. I get that. But if you hear about somebody like, do you know, like somebody spilling their coffee in the morning and you start crying, like that's a problem. Like you need to rein that in a little bit, because if you're in a situation, in a pressure situation, when it comes to like say business or in a dating situation or whatever it might be, and your first response to something that's just generally bad news is to cry, it's going to be a problem for you in the future. Okay, especially at a crux of like say you're trying to sell something to someone, like we were just saying, and somebody says something sad in that conversation, you start crying. You think like you have gone from a position of equal engagement in order to like promote a product to being someone who they're gonna step all over. Okay, they're literally just gonna be like, well, this person's like, I'm just gonna walk all over this person and do whatever I want. Like that's what's gonna happen. Do you know what I mean? So if you cry because you hear about someone's like a death of a loved one or something, you're just a normal person. You're a human being. Like you're emotional. I get it. It's totally fine. You know what I mean? But you need to be able to control your emotions when it comes to like a point where you have to do so. Okay. Otherwise, you are going to be taken advantage of as a person. You are going to be taken advantage of when it comes to like dealing with other people, because they see weakness. Okay, they see weakness in you and they're going to take advantage of it. And a lot of people like you know they do it automatically. Do you know what I mean? It's like a reaction response to everything. And I think there's an easier way, although there's an emotionally intelligent way to approach conversations that affect different, that bring out different reactions in you when it comes to like physical reactions. Okay.
Glad you took your notes because I like this subject.
Hmm.
Adam's better than me. This is interesting. I like the
You just
no,
set precedence in this conversation. You see what you
I
just
know,
did
I
there?
know. Yeah. I hope everybody caught that, right?
Hold on, let me prop my chair up a bit higher.
I, the does mine go higher? Yeah.
No, I'll put
Okay.
it down, not lower. There you go. Now you're above me.
There you go. So the oh god, I love it. I'm so happy that you brought because that this is like we said earlier. Adam mentioned it, like you could go so many different ways. There's so many subtopics tied to this, but that's a good one because you can almost call it, like, if we were to try to put like a layman spin to it, you can almost call it like having a poker face. So like, I
Mhm.
mean, you really said everything, kind of what it said, because sure, obviously there are moments where it's kind of obvious, like that, hey, you know what, your emotion is so powerful that, hey, you know what, you responded to it, death of a loved one, etc. But in a lot of cases, okay, in a lot of cases, we have the ability to have like a poker face for a short while, think about what's happening, and
Mhm.
then instead of letting the emotion control you, you control the emotion. And I'll give you a good example. The because I feel like I know we we keep going to like the career thing, but like what I do for a living really pertains a lot to having strong emotional intelligence. I'll give you two different examples of us in a closing situation. Okay. Yeah, and I'm gonna say I don't know, Sonic, because I don't want to call out a name. But let's just say Sonic is my colleague, all right? And my colleague doesn't have really strong emotional intelligence, and we're both in front of different clients, but same thing. We're about to close a deal, okay? And I give my pitch and I give them the price, and then the client says, "All right, Ken, we're ready to move forward." Okay, my response is usually like, "Well, I'm really happy to hear that, and I think you guys are going to be really happy. You're going to be really pleased with the end result. So it's to move forward. I'm just going to put together the paperwork, give us a signature. You tell me what your timeline looks like, and we'll make sure that we meet it. Sound good?" Now that's handling. Now inside, I'm like, holy fuck, bro. $1 million in the bag. Let's go. Like I'm going nuts inside, right? But that's Sonic, all right, hasn't closed a deal in 13 years. So he's in that same situation, and he hears like, all right, we get paperwork. That's great. Hey, let me see if I can get you a discount too. Would that make you happier? All right, hold on. Hey, let me call my boss. You're gonna be so happy. I can't tell you how many deals have been won and lost based on that. Now I exaggerated a lot, okay? But you said it before. They can the moment you're I was gonna say adversary, but that's not the right word. But the moment, let's just in this example, the moment the client or whoever it is you're trying to sell to senses that they're in the position of power, it's over for you. It is
Yeah.
over. They're gonna do anything they can do. They're gonna discount. Now let me talk to the competitor. They're gonna muddy their own brains, and then you're gonna elongate your sales process. So that's why I love that you brought this up, because having a good poker face, that's layman's, all right. But behind it, it's really like just taking a step back, paying attention to the emotion, understanding why that emotion feels that way, and making sure that your reaction to it still ends up with the end goal. Because so, like, I'm happy inside and I'm great, but my reaction is composed, assertive, okay, and knowledgeable. Why? Because that feeling inside, I don't want to lose it. I want
Yeah.
to keep it. You know what I mean? So I'm responding in that way. People don't realize like how many times their response and their actions are going to put a halt to that great feeling, because they're going against what's getting them there in the first place. I know
Yeah.
that's I overcomplicated it a little bit, but I hope
No,
people
no,
got it.
I'm about to overcomplicate it even more. So,
Okay, good.
I wanna take the example of relationships when it comes to this, right?
Oh, let's
Because
do it.
I think your example, well, like, look, we've both provided examples of like corporate examples. We've provided business examples. Now I'm going to provide you with romantic example, so to speak.
Oh, nice.
So when it comes to relationships, I am terrible. Don't ask me for advice. But when it comes to relationships, emotional intelligence in relationships can be the difference between a communication of like just a perfect communication of relationships to the most toxic of communication relationships. Okay, so for instance, if you're in a relationship where your partner is emotionally abusive, right? And like this is a topic that we've talked about in the past, both on this podcast and on the other one. When somebody comes, and I've been through all this stuff before, I've spoken about it. Like if you need to references, they're there. You know what I mean? Like you guys know that I've been through some shit like that. Now, if your emotional intelligence is on par with your partner, generally speaking, you can sort out most things. Generally speaking, both parties know, you know what I mean? Like the level of which you converse with each other. Like it's pretty straightforward. If couples are on another level when it comes to emotional intelligence with each other, you don't even have to fucking say anything to that person. And that person knows what you're thinking. Like that is where you want to be when it comes to relationships, right? That is the precipice of everything. However, sometimes you're in relationships where one person uses the emotional intelligence against you in order to manipulate you, all right? That happens to a lot of people, right? And it's very common. So you're having a conversation with your partner, and that person wants they want something, all right? They want the conversation to go in a certain direction, and they use emotion in order to wreck that conversation because they know that maybe you're going to feel guilty, or maybe you're going to feel like you're responsible for that, or whatever it might be. So, like for example, in the past, I've had relationships where the girl will, start crying or start getting upset about something or start getting angry at me about something, which in my brain, had no reservation for that response, right? But they're doing it for a reason, right? They're doing it because they want to lead me in a certain direction. Okay, that can be the same in the opposite direction. I'm not saying that's like one way. That can be both ways. I have friends who are women who have had men who have done the exact same thing to them. So they basically made them feel horrible for nothing that they've done wrong in order for them to then, guilt trip them into a direction of which they want to go. Okay, that's emotional intelligence as well. Like that person. Okay, so in some instances that person doesn't know what they're doing. Right? It's just the way they react. Okay. I don't think it's pretty rare that that's happening. Okay. I think a lot of people know exactly what they're doing. Okay. And they're doing it because they're a narcissist, they're toxic, and they want a certain response, and they want something to go in a certain direction and go their way because they don't like losing, or they don't like being the bitch or whatever it might be. But they think the way that they've approached the whole thing is wrong. Okay? Because you don't have to do that. You don't have to be like that in order for, to get what you want. If you're in a good relationship and you have good communication and you have trust and you have, love and you have all these things that work for you, not against you, you don't need to be emotionally manipulative. You don't need to do that. It's unnecessary because if you are on par with someone and you say, hey, this person says to you, hey, I want to do this today. And you say, look, I don't really, you have the confidence to say, I don't really want to do that today. Do you know what I mean? And you know what? Instead of that other person trying to manipulate you in order to achieve what they want to do today, instead they'll compromise with you. Okay? Or they'll come to some sort of other agreement. Or they'll say, oh, maybe we'll just do that. How about we do this today and we do that tomorrow? Okay, that sounds great. Simple solution, simple conversation. And it's if you're on par with that person when it comes to everything, like trust, confidence, whatever it might be, and you guys work on a good level, that's perfect relationship. I'm telling you. I wish I could find that, but I haven't found that. But what I'm saying is, just want to finish the point. Basically, there's a lot of people that don't see the signs of toxic relationships because of love. Okay? So you'll fall in love with someone before you realize that person is that way they are. And then you get caught in what's called a love trap. Okay? Because your emotions, right, Your emotions take over your logic. Your emotions take over your thought process when it comes to emotional intelligence, having conversations or engaging or interacting with that person, because love is the excuse in which you use in order for that situation to be controlled, right? Now, you can still be in love with someone, still respect someone, and still do everything for someone without being controlled emotionally. This is what I'm saying. So to have good emotional intelligence and having someone else who also has good emotional intelligence, it doesn't have to be, like you hear the saying, it doesn't have to be this hard. Do you know what I mean? It can be easier. It just means you haven't found the right person. That's all it is. But the example is still there, right? You agree?
Yeah. From a
Yeah.
relationship standpoint, I do agree because the I mean, I think for the most part, everybody can agree with that. That if you start thinking differently, you'll eventually speak differently, right? And what I
Mhm.
mean by that is the awareness that Adam was just talking about, right? You put that in the context of the relationship, right? What I mean by by start speaking differently, this is what I mean. I'll use my relationship as an example. Uh, hey, Ken, I want to take the kids. I want to take the kids to the park today. Let's go. There's so many different ways I could respond to that. Oh, you didn't run it by me. Let's just say I'm exhausted. Okay, because I've done a lot of different things. Now I'm exhausted. Okay, I do want to make her happy in that moment, but I know that I'm not going to have what it takes to be happy. So my response in that situation could go so many different ways. But when my awareness is in full capacity, my response is, okay, look, I I'm really, really tired from taking, this guy to practice and her to softball. I know that you haven't done the same thing, and I know that you've been wanting to take the kids out all day. Any chance that maybe we could do it later? I could take a nap or tomorrow. I promise you I want to. I'm just letting you know that I just don't have it in me. I'm tired.
Yeah.
It That makes it very, very difficult. And she might still get like, but it's one of those like, what the you say it in a way that I can't get too upset with you. Fine, you know. But but do you get what I'm saying? Like
I
I did
understand.
just play out that scenario, but it works though. It works if you. It's just that most people don't fucking do that shit. Most people are just like, I'm tired, man. Gosh, how do you not know I'm fucking tired? Don't you know that I brought this kid today? Like I'm telling you, man. If people just listen to like really listen to the basics of what we're talking about and then apply it. That remember well, what do we always say? Just do it, right? Just fucking do it. Apply it. Don't
Yeah.
if you understand it, great. If it makes sense, great. If you don't go do it, you're fucked. Try it.
Yeah. One of the things I love to do when it comes to reading books, for example, right? When I read a book, like like if I'm really into the book and I love the book, I read the book. I have a fairly good memory when it comes to like reading things and seeing things and stuff. Like I've always had that. That's just like the way I studied and stuff. I always reread things and I can remember things, right? Now, the best way I found when I read a book, I read it from start to finish. I love the book. I go talk to someone about it, right? So I'll go discuss. And if I don't talk to someone about it, sometimes I talk to myself. I know I'm weird, but um, sometimes I'll take that knowledge of the book that I've just read and I'll call someone. You know what I mean? I'll call someone and be like, hey man, I just read this book, like. And I'd love to talk to you about it, and maybe that will encourage you to read the book, or vice versa. Or maybe someone's asked me, hey, how was that book? You know what I mean? And I'll start, listing off what the book was about without giving away the book, obviously, but I'll list off the topics of the book. But doing that has got two processes, right? The first process is that I'm trying to, my goal of the conversation obviously is to get that person to read the book because I think the book is great. My other goal of that conversation is for me to remember the contents of the book. Okay? Because if you reiterate it to yourself a little bit, you actually remember more than just reading it once. Okay? That's why some people have to read things 10 times in order to remember them. Because not everyone has the capacity to read something once and remember it. Like we're not all like crazy like that. Like some people can do that, other people can't do that. But
Yeah.
I find if I then speak about the book to someone, I actually retain more information on that book. Now, the reason I kind of bring that up is that basically Ken just said practicality, okay? Practicality, using what you read about or you listen about or hear about, and then actually doing that thing. Do you know what I mean? That's the way you remember things. So the more you do, the more you apply everything we're saying into practice, the more you'll remember it. The more it'll apply to your life. The more times you'll get into a conversation with someone and be like, wait a second. Do you know what I mean? You only need a second or two in your brain to process something. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't take long. Your brain's fucking really good at that kind of stuff. You just need to know how to use it. So like, you go into a conversation with someone, I can guarantee the next conversation you go into someone, you'll think that one thing. You'll be like, this conversation, why am I having it? That's the first thing you'll think, right? And then as the conversation flows on, you'll be like, okay, this conversation, what is the goal of this conversation? And then as you evaluate that goal in your head, your reactions will change too. You'll be like, okay, at the end of this conversation, how am I going to react to this conversation? All these things will apply step by step. And it all happen within 2 seconds of you having a conversation. It's not like you have to pyramid topic off the book. Like, you don't have to do that. You will, the more you do it, the easier it will be. And you'll absolutely change your life. It'll change your fucking life. Straight up.
100%. The more you do it, the easier it'll be. And with that, right? I just want to add, guys, that you know, you ever heard the saying, Rome wasn't built overnight or built in a day or whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to get frustrating because it's new behavior. People have to understand because what a lot of people do, what most people do, is they'll try it and it'll make sense. Like that bell, you know that feeling when you learn something, you're like, holy fuck, they were right. Holy shit, like I get it. I reacted to like in my head, I felt a certain way instantaneously, but I stopped myself from speaking, and then I figured out what it was that I really wanted out of the conversation and whatever, like they'll go through it, right? Of course, it feels like work in the beginning, everybody. Of course, it's a new behavior, but we're habitual, right? We're creatures of habit. Keep going until you just start fucking doing it.
Mm-hmm.
That's when the real magic happens. Because and over time you realize, like, see the change. It's so minuscule, it's so gradual. But man, you do that, you won't even recognize yourself in 6 months for the better. That's like I can't even tell because I know people that have done that. I speak to people every day about stuff like this, and I oftentimes get people that reach back out like, "Oh my God, bro, like this is what I'm doing now. I never thought I would have made this decision."
Mm-hmm.
I wish more people, would reach out, but unfortunately, like I said, very few push through that initial kind of change adverse behavior, because it's like, hey, we all got to get into our comfort zones. But dude, think about this. Is it really your comfort zone if you want more out of life?
Exactly.
No.
It's your life. Like this thing. People say they're like, I don't have control over my own life. Well, get control over your own life. Do you know what I
That's
mean? At the end of the day, you're the one who has to live it. Like you just do yourself a favor. Why make it hard for yourself? Look, there's going to be plenty of things that happen in your life that is going to be hard. There's going to be plenty of things that happen in your life that's going to challenge you, right? Look at it as a good thing. Okay, look at it as a positive thing, because if you view everything in your life as negative, you're going to be a negative person. It's that's just the way it is. That's coming back to topic 2 on perspective. Like if you view everything in the light of narcissism, or you view everything in the life of like just being emotionally painful, like everything's going to be painful. Do you know what I mean? Like, but if you take the time to think about things a little bit more, I'm not saying like you have to, write a book about it. I'm just saying if you take the time to think about things a little bit more before you do them, chances are you're going to have a better life. It's going to be more enjoyable. It's going to be a lot easier. You just gotta try a little bit harder when it comes to things, and the more you do it, the less you'll have to try to do it, because it'll be natural. Like, it's the whole point. Pretty straightforward stuff.
Yeah. Well, what I would love to do. And by the way, everybody, this is Scout's honor because a lot of this was off the cuff. not off the cuff, like, planned, but off the cuff, like I said. But I would love at some point, whenever this ends, like the empowerment series, if it ends, oh, we don't even know if it will, right? But like whenever it does, maybe get feedback from the people who were with us in the beginning, and like see what they learn, like see if anybody has a story. Like they don't have to look. If you internalize it, great. You know what? Oh man, let me tell you something. That to me is a reward because because I know that you had a powerful tool added to your arsenal of life, and you went out there and you did amazing things. Um, but it would, how great would it be to hear someone say like, "Hey, man, I got the job of my dreams, or I bought the house of my, or whatever. I found the love of my life, or what, because of any one of the videos in the series. That would be pretty cool to find that. You know what I mean, and get them on and just hear them out and talk to them about it.
Yeah, well, we've had a few examples of that already, which is really nice. I mean, even Pit Slayer has come back to me with some really good feedback on his life when it
Oh,
comes
right,
to his
right.
job and stuff. Toko had a few things to tell me about that sort of stuff. I mean, obviously, like I won't go into details on it, but yeah, there was a few things that she spoke to me about that it helped her a little bit in that regards. So yeah, it is making a difference to a lot of people, and I agree. I mean, even for example, even with the fact that me personally, like having taken control of my life a little bit more, you know, I think a
Yeah.
lot of people are affected by that too. Like the amount of messages I've received from people being like, "Hey, today I went to the gym," or "Today I decided to go and do some exercise," or "Today I decided to give up drinking for a month," or whatever it might be. The amount of people that have actually contacted me with that is extraordinary to me.
That's
So,
awesome, man.
which
I
is
love that.
it's insane. It's amazing. But like at the same time, like that's not why I did it. Do you know what I mean? I didn't do it to set
Yeah.
an example. I did it to better my life because I was worried about it and I wanted to make sure that, I don't die tomorrow. So like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like this is the crazy part about it. Like you do things when you do things like this, and I didn't realize, but I do now, when I do certain things, it affects the people around me. Okay? And a lot of people might think that that's not the case, but it is. Okay? If people pay attention enough to your life, right? And people are affected by things that you do, you've got to remember those people are taking examples from you, right? And I thought, like, because I would have never imagined that anyone would take advice from me, like, especially in context when it comes to life decisions. Sometimes I make some pretty poor ones, but I'm emotionally aware of them. Like, do you know what I mean? So,
The key. That's the
yeah,
key.
yeah, yeah. I make them with full confidence that I know it's a bad idea and I do it anyway. So sometimes I'm my own worst enemy. But in saying that, I didn't realize that me doing something like, giving up drinking or like going to the gym every day and trying to get healthy and stuff would actually have a positive effect on other people around me. So, but now I realize that that kind of power, you know, should not be taken for granted because I, it's blown me away. It actually has blown me away the amount of people who have said, "Hey, I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this for me," because I saw what it did for you, and I want that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the visual stimulation of that was enough to send people in the right direction as well. So that's fucking cool. That is a really really cool thing, right? And I think that's another reason why this topic and this podcast and this series and stuff is so important because I mean, like you just said, like if it affects one person, we've done our job. But at the same time, like it's going to affect more than one person. I can almost guarantee you. Like
Oh yeah.
it's going to affect a lot of people, and a lot of people are going to listen to this and be like, you know what, like why can't I do that? Why can't I implement that? Like what if I do implement? What's the worst thing that could happen? Kind of thing. Like people are going to engage it in different ways and actually use it. Um,
Yeah.
and I think we're going to get some good feedback on stuff. I really do.
The beauty, right? The beauty in this, right, is that many of those people, a good majority of those people, are going to be impacted indirectly. Now, I'll just use the people listening just as an example, hypothetically, right? If Brit Maya Toko, if they take anything that we've, either of us have shared over the last, couple of months and go and do something pretty incredible in their lives, imagine the people in their lives that they're now impacting. It's an indirect that's them, that's theirs. And we indirectly, like had that impact. But that's power. To me, like I think about that stuff on a macro level, like, man, like that's amazing. That motivates me. That keeps me going.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. I know a lot of people in the community, like they suffer from different bits and pieces when it comes to being like emotional intelligence, I think. Especially when it comes to anxiety management. I think that's one of
Yeah.
the big problems for a lot of us. I mean, if you go through something in life that is traumatic, or you go through something in life that might cause you to develop some sort of like anxiety, whether it comes to relationships or whether it comes to business or whether it comes to like trauma, like accident trauma, or like seeing things you're not supposed to see, like when you're in the military, that kind of stuff. Anxiety is real. It's 100% real. Now, the real trick is how you manage it. Okay. And if you have the emotional intelligence to manage anxiety, you can do anything. You really can, because it's a very powerful tool to have. It's like if you, because a lot of people, the first thing anyone's going to say to you is, "What drugs are you taking for that?" Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? And I think, like, my personal opinion, by the way, I'm not a physician, so don't take my advice. But as a personal opinion, I think any drug you have to take for something that you have to manage internally in your mind is a bad idea. Okay, I think it's a terrible idea. Um, I've seen friends who have taken medication for all sorts of things, depression, anxiety. I don't think it makes it any better. I think it makes it worse. Personally, I've seen people who have like, incorporated depression meds and that kind of thing. As soon as they stop taking them, they're 10 times worse. Do you know what I mean? Like once you get on that bandwagon, there's no getting off it. And,
Yeah.
and I think when it comes to, again, you've got to remember, medication is a sale. Medication is a sale. They're trying to sell it to you. I think a lot of people aren't strong enough to not have it or to not be sent down that direction. They just do what they're told and they do it. I don't think it's a good thing though. Personally
Mm.
speaking, again, not a physician, okay? Not a physician, not a pharmacologist. All right? I'm not telling you how to live your life. All I'm saying is from a personal perspective, I think taking drugs for any sort of emotional issue is a really bad idea. I think there's other ways you can manage it, whether it be exercise, uh, whether it be addressing the situation head on, whether it be talking to a psychologist, whether it be discussing it with friends and family, whatever it might be that might help you through that. I just think that drugs, when it comes to anxiety and depression, should be the last thing you do. You
Yeah.
should take all the steps prior to that before that step. I really do. And I think people nowadays, they're looking for a quick solution to everything. And I think they think, oh, the drugs will be a quick solution to that and I'll just get on with my life. It's going to make your life worse. Like, honestly, like, and I'm just talking from experience when it comes to seeing other people taking them, because I would never take them myself. But like, I've seen my friends who have taken them, and it just leads to more drug abuse. It just leads to more problems. And as soon as they get off them, they're fucked. Like they are just emotionally, like, just fucked. I'm telling you.
Yeah. I agree that I mean probably globally, but definitely here in the States, it's become an epidemic in terms of that it's just it's a very quick, a very easy quote unquote solution to a problem that with a little effort could be managed. Now, and I'm speaking from experience because I'm first generation American. My mom immigrated here from South America, and she comes from a very like holistic kind of life where it's like a few little ingredients from the earth can take care of this, can take care of that,
Hmm.
you know. And then the other side of the family, is very much about, hey, look, man, if you sneeze, go take that. Go to the doctors, take that. If you cough the wrong way, go to the doctors. At the very, very like pro like medication, for everything. And look, and I personally believe that, yeah, there are some extreme circumstances, like if you have irregularities when it comes to very important chemicals in your brain, like
Mm-hmm.
dopamine and serotonin. Sure, that's what I think it's for.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's a massive, massive abuse of when people just when they start to feel anxiety, and it's or anything, and it's like, oh man, I don't know if I could really do this. They don't even try. They don't even try. They just jump to taking something that's going to help them, when all they have to do is just really think about what it is. I'll give you one example with my kids, okay? Because I raise my kids one way, and there's a lot of people in the family that have their own opinions, okay? When my son was really young, okay, he would be in it, well, I mean, he's only 6, but when he was like, 2, 3 years old, we'd go to parties, and he would, he'd freak out. He would just freak out, like as soon as a lot of people started showing up, and everybody was just like, "Oh my God, he's this, he's that, he's this. You got to take him this, that." And I was just like, I appreciate, your opinion, but shut the fuck up. This is my boy. I wasn't that emotionally intelligent because that's my boy. When it comes to my kids, these are my kids, man. Like, don't fucking tell me how to raise my kids. Like, if you want an opinion, be very careful with how you approach me when it comes to my kids. The reason I felt that way was because as soon as they would start leaving, he would just calm down, come talk to me. He would talk to me. And I'd
Mm-hmm.
be like, well, what? I asked, like, what was it, buddy? Is it too many people? Like, why were you afraid of somebody? Long story short, he began telling me, Daddy, there's just too many people. I'm thinking too much. So I was just like, well, what are you thinking about? I don't know. And I'm like, then just stop thinking, Brendan. It's a party, have fun. When you talk to one person, you talk to that one person. Don't think about anybody else, okay? We took him to the doctors. Doctors were telling me, like, oh yeah, he's this, he's that, he's gonna need that medication. And I said, okay, well, help me understand why. Is this unnatural for a 3-year-old to behave this way? Because if it's unnatural, I can understand, but it seems pretty natural to me. I challenge doctors, and 6 years old, perfectly healthy kid, one of the most popular kids at his school, talks normally. And now he clearly tells me, "Yeah, Daddy, I just used to be really nervous, but I don't know. It's fine. I just talk to people. I figure how that if this kid would have been on every medication by 6 years old, underneath the fucking sun, because of how he used to freak out. But I was determined to teach him how to manage that feeling, how to be aware of it. Even at that young age, he was able to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I feel so bad for people who get to adulthood and they relied on it, because a lot of the times when they've been taking medication for too long, you said it before, it's really hard, like they can't come off it.
No.
That's they're like it'll cause like a withdrawal effect.
Well, any medication that creates a hormone imbalance in your brain or in your chemicals in your body or whatever it might be is going to cause a problem. Because what happens is it's like if you for a really simple example, it's like if you like histamine, right? You get a histamine reaction when you react to something you're allergic to, right? Now, whether it be in your skin or in your body or whatever it might be. Now you take antihistamine to combat that, right? Your body has a natural combative system to histamine. Okay. So you have natural like body effects for antihistamine effects, right? Now, if you take antihistamine tablets, right, every day, the effectiveness of your body's natural immunity to histamine is going to wear down. Okay. Because it is relying on the medication to do its job, right? So your body's going to develop less antihistamine and less and less. So you're going to have to take more tablets and more tablets and more tablets. And then eventually, if you stop taking tablets and you react to something, it could kill you. Like, as an extreme example, because your body cannot naturally now develop antihistamine. You have to be taking that medication forever. This happened to my dad. My dad reacts to everything, okay? He's like the bubble boy. Like, he touches a piece of grass and he turns green. I don't understand it. But anyway, but this is the problem. The point is, all right, is that he's been taking histamine tablets his entire life. And because his natural response to getting, say, like a scratch from something and then his skin blowing up a little bit is to take a fucking box of histamine, right? A box of antihistamine. Now, that's not good for you. You know what I mean? That's terrible for you. And anyone who with a half a brain knows that, like, that's just, it was a natural response. He'd just be like, oh, just take it. Oh, just take it. Oh, just take it. And the more he took it, the more he had to take, you know? My mom buys them in fucking bulk now. Like, there's like boxes and boxes of fucking antihistamine tablets lying around his house. And I'm just like, this can't be good for somebody. Do you know what I mean? But now, if he doesn't take it, his body does not generate antihistamine. Okay? So if a cat scratches him, he literally breaks out. Like, he's crazy because his body has no action or reaction to it. This is why we always let kids eat dirt. You know what I mean? Like, let the kid eat the dirt. What's the worst thing that can happen? Nothing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're probably just going to, you know, they might react to something or they might have a bit of a whatever it might happen, but it's going to make them stronger in the long run. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not going to kill them. It's, you know, what doesn't kill you make you stronger. You know, there's a song about it. Like, it's true. Do you know what I mean? It is true. So if you, again, like, coming back to the example of your kid, like, it makes sense. Like, you know, it's simple science, really, isn't it? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
I'm just happy that, like, you know, I'm just happy that I am the way that I am and I was able to be there for him, because when I tell you that I could see why a lot of people aren't this way, because I had to challenge doctors. I had to challenge doctors. Now, it's very important that I mention that if all of my efforts went for naught and he just stayed worse, clearly I would have been like, all right, guys, you know, what's the answer?
Exactly.
But I was seeing a lot of progress. And eventually he like the shyness, the anxiety went away so much that he was able to talk in front of everybody else, you know. But I also just read you know, I read Maya's you know, comment, and I hope Maya was here when she heard what I said before about, like, obviously there's always going to be, like, you know, kind of more extreme circumstances where there's just those chemical imbalances, and yeah, it is going to really help and change somebody's life. So I'm not completely, you know, against it anyway. I just personally feel like it's become kind of like the de facto answer to
Yeah.
anything that's a problem. You
We're
know,
just
people
we're just
are
saying it's not the easy. You shouldn't take it as the easy way out of something. You should be able to
yeah,
develop other ways to combat it. That's all you were saying, right?
right.
Yeah, exactly. Um, I totally get it. I totally get it, and I agree with it. I agree with it. I just think everyone in society now is looking for an easy option when it comes to things. Not necessarily in regards to medication. I think it was just an example I was trying to use, but when it comes to just life in general, like, we're always looking for easy options. Do you know what I mean? Because, I mean, again, that's another thing we could talk about. I think another topic I really wanted to talk about, and I maybe could be a future topic, is time management. Because people can't manage their time, and so they're trying to find easy options for everything. Like,
My goodness.
they're always
Yes.
thinking of a way to, like, you know, how do I not do this, or how do I do this, like, how do I shorten this process, or whatever it might be, and everyone's always in a rush
Dude,
all the time to do everything. Like,
dude.
just slow the fuck
You-
down.
Like, I don't
Like,
get. No, I want to write this down because, dude, you know what you just made me think of. And yes, this is a very very important topic because I feel like it's very relevant to today's day and age. I feel like people, and this is, I believe it's a saying. I'm pretty confident, but the people overestimate what they can do, like in a day or even a week, but they
correct,
underestimate what they can do in 10 years. You know what I
correct.
mean? Actually, Tony Robbins, I believe, he said that in a book he wrote in like 1980 or some shit. But today, it is so true in today's day and age because everybody's collecting so much. People are becoming famous overnight on fucking TikTok and shit, and it's created this like this terrible stigma. Whereas people are like, all right, then I could do it. Then I could become like a sensation overnight, and it's almost taken away from the good old fashioned, like,
Hard
fucking
work.
sacrifice. Yeah, hard work. Put the grind in. Make a long term plan, which what we talked about in a previous episode, and grind it out. That's a really good topic, Adam.
Yeah. No, people don't plan for the future of tomorrow. They don't. They don't at
Yeah,
all. Because, you know what? Again, it's that whole instant gratification society that we have going on right now. Like, You want something delivered from Amazon, it's coming tomorrow. You know, you want to watch and the next video, it's already ready to go. Like, you know,
Yeah.
you want to listen to the next podcast. Guess what? I've got it queued to play after this one. It's all just like instant gratification. Like nobody ever thinks, how do I make $1 million tomorrow? Do you know what I mean? People are like, oh, how do I make $1 million tomorrow? How do I make $1 million tomorrow? You don't. You don't. That's the truth. You just don't. Okay. You make $1 million in 10 years time. Okay. You make $1 million in 20 years time. All right. As a very poor example, because not a lot of people can achieve $1 million. But the reason is that everybody thinks they're going to make $1 million tomorrow. And then when they don't, they're disappointed. That's an expectation. Like you're setting your expectations to instant gratification. And that's the society we live in. You can't fall into the trap. If you fall in the trap, nothing will ever satisfy you, whether it comes to work, whether it comes to relationships, whether it comes to anything in your life. Every single time you don't get that little fucking endorphin rush in your brain that says, hey, I just want $1 million. Everything's going to disappoint you. Everything. Okay. Don't fall into the trap.
Dude, you know what? This would require work on our behalf. We wouldn't be able to go off the cuff the way we love, but there's got to be a way to form some kind of a map or like a strategy to get there. Because you know we're like, look, I do feel fortunate, and I know you do too, that we're able to compartmentalize things in a way that allow us to do this. But the majority of society, look, you mentioned a couple. Amazon, you'll fucking have it tomorrow in a few hours sometimes. You know, the YouTube, the video will be up. Netflix, you get the whole fucking series, like right then and there.
Yeah.
Oh, the whole season. You don't gotta wait a week. Like, you know, the people have been conditioned so many different ways to get that instant gratification right away that you know that if you know, and I know it's harder for the younger generation. I get it, believe me. I know this shit is not easy. I know a lot of what I talk about, a lot of what even you talk about. The younger generation probably like, dude, like why would I even like it doesn't even make sense. What are these guys talking about?
Yeah.
It's gotta be a way where we could
Fast track.
yeah, you know what I mean?
It's the
I'm gonna
language
really
of it
think about
too.
that.
It's the language
Yeah.
of it's the language that you use when it comes to that kind of stuff too. Like people think, you know, when you hit words like fast track, expedite, you know,
Yeah.
tomorrow
Yeah.
delivery. Like when you hear things like that, you think, I'm getting it now. Do you know what I mean? Getting it right now. Like it's happening. It's like, but when someone hears delay, they hear traffic, they hear, you know, whatever it might be. There is all words associated with wasting time. Do you know what I mean? So like all the words association you can muster is like, it's basically like modified your brain into thinking, I'm not getting it now, I'm getting it later. And later means never. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Doesn't mean never. It just means later. So
That's it.
it just means you have to wait. You know, we used to have to wait for things, you know? It doesn't, whether it was a TV show or the mail, you have to fucking wait for it. You know what I mean? So like, now people don't have to wait for shit. You know what I mean? Email,
No.
instant. You know, phone call, instant. All these things, instant.
Dude, even exchanging money, Zelle, Venmo, like you get it right
Bitcoin,
away.
instant.
Crazy.
You know? So we used to have to wait. You used to have, like, imagine, oh, dude, imagine a millennial having to wait for a check to clear. Like, Jesus Christ. Like,
Dude, you know what would be in a world of instant? That sounds like the first part of a really good title
it
for either a
does.
series or a podcast. In a world of instant, how do you? I think I'm onto something.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. It's late over here. It's my brain's going in all kinds of different directions. I know it's like, what time is it over there?
It's 1 p.m. Yeah.
Oh man, you're right. You're right smack in like that part of the day where people either get super groggy and like, what am I gonna do? Or they take control of their day, like you. How do you do that? What do you got going on for the rest of the day?
Well, I've got, after this, I'm gonna have something to eat, and then I'm going to start doing all my preparations for tonight's stream, because I've got all this extra stuff that I've planned because I have the release of my newest dinosaur tonight on the
The
Zilla
one you just showed
Patch.
me? The one you just showed me?
Different one. Different one. So
Like that
this
one you just
one,
showed me is
this one,
really nice.
well, no, this one is the one that's on the podcast.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That's the one we have here.
So,
However,
so is that one specifically for the podcast, or is that one of your main the
so
brands?
this dinosaur particularly is called the power dinosaur. Okay, so
I love
basically
it.
it represents confidence. It represents everything that like superheroes represent. You know what I mean? Like this is the
Yeah.
dinosaur that basically gets shit done. You know what I mean? Whereas the
Right.
green one, the green dinosaur is my base brand. Right now, I
Gotcha.
have a new dinosaur that I'm going to release tonight that is going to be a little bit different. So it's gonna be quite fun. It's a fun one. His name is the Scene Dino. Now, for those of you who were teenagers, you'll understand when you see it. However, it basically represents the younger generation, and it represents the
Uh,
people in my community that are younger, and so that they can relate to it a little bit more as well. But it's also like it represents all the things that I love in life when it comes to like music and pop culture and all sorts of stuff like that. So it's kind of like a cool little transition, I guess, for that.
love it.
But I have about 5 of them already ready to go. So I mean, I'm just releasing them as I feel fit. So that's what I'll be doing for like the next couple of hours. But then I'll be hitting the gym as always, and then coming back and getting ready for everything else, and probably engaging in some communities, doing some moderation stuff. All bits and pieces. Also, I have spent the last couple of days as well doing some more stuff with the business and getting everything organized for that. So, there's plenty to do, and time management is of essence, of course.
Oh yeah.
So there will be plenty of things going on with there. As for you, you're probably just going to bed, I would say.
So yeah, after a little bit of daisies, but remember that addiction I had to the forest?
Oh no, have
I
you?
don't quite have it. I don't quite have it yet for DayZ, but it's on its way. Like I watched the YouTube video so that I can create my own. It's so funny. My own server
Oh,
in
okay.
DayZ so that I could play alone, and I added unlimited stamina so I could learn
Oh
the game
god.
without worrying about getting chased. So uh
You're diving in deep when you start creating personal servers with mods. Like- oh
I
mate, you're
was
gonna be lost
laughing.
for
I
days.
was as I was doing it, I was laughing. I'm like, dude, come on, Ken. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Read a book and go to bed.
No, do what makes you happy. I reckon video games are probably one of the greatest things ever invented because like most people think video games escape from your daily life sort of situation. Like,
Right.
but I think video games can provide so much more than that as well. Like
Oh
they
yeah.
can provide like they can engage the problem solving side of your brain. Like they can create engage the creative side of your brain. They
That,
can introduce your imagination to new things that might give you new ideas for things. Like as they're and also they can be a health management tool as well. So
that's such
video,
a good point, dude.
video
That
games are fantastic for that.
bro, that's such a powerful point. Uh, and that could actually be another topic at some point. I know we say that, but it's true because, like, for a while there was like this negative stigma against gaming, right? And I used to always be like, I don't use it for that. I don't use it for that. And then as I got older and matured, like, I realized like, hey man, like, now that I'm a father, right? I got 3 kids. I got a lot of responsibility in my career. I'm doing these, little projects that I enjoy, but I know that there's people relying on me. It's fun. At the end of all that, it's fun to regenerate by just
Yeah.
playing, going out there playing, like you said, tapping into that creativity that maybe I don't get to use, uh, in other cases, but just it's really it's really a release, and that's a lot of the reason why I kind of don't play as Call of Duty as much because Call of Duty didn't it wasn't that for me. It got toxic, and
Yeah.
when I started getting mad, I'm like, damn, I think this is why I like playing games.
Exactly. I
But
understand that as well. I understand.
it's
Um,
definitely a
I,
positive
I think
tool.
I think negativity when it comes to video games and stuff is like the critiques of video games that are violent or whatever it might be are coming from people who don't play them. Okay,
100%.
it's
Yep.
it's coming from the I wouldn't say majority, just of the people who don't play them. Like if you play video games, right? If you've played a violent video game, it doesn't make you want to go out and fucking shoot someone. It doesn't. Okay. It's a fucking stress management tool. It's an engagement tool. It's a learning tool. It's all sorts of things. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be that. Like people just see like it's a reaction to something. It's like somebody who doesn't understand video games sees violence and then they think somebody's going to be violent because they see violence. They're just putting two and two together without having any fucking precedence for it, right? It's the same, for example, it's the same reason, like, if someone's yelling at someone, they automatically think that that's negative. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Might not be. Might be an encouraging yell. It might be, hey, go get that goal, man. You know what I mean? You know, push harder, let's go, It could be, but then it could also be like, go fuck yourself. Like, it could be two things, you know what I mean? Like, but this is the thing, like, people just they see one situation and then they just attribute it to behavior. It's not necessarily the truth. That's a load of bullshit. I think it's just people being ignorant. Like, like a news reporter sees a violent video game like Call of Duty. Oh, there's guns in it. Guns are violence. Oh, all of a sudden, if someone has a gun, there must be a video gamer. Like, just fuck off. Like, seriously. Like, you have no idea what you're talking about.
There, no, it's true, and the companies who recognize that, right, who recognize like the bullshit, actually are strong promoters of gamification within their organization. Like the company that I work for, gamification is a big part of what we do. Like they've taken those fundamentals of gaming and they've applied it to what we do for a living. It's not gaming per se, but we don't even like I know what's going on, but most of the people they don't even realize like the work culture is almost like that friendly gaming competitiveness where you're getting recognition and you're getting accolades and it's
Achievement
colorful.
hunting.
Hmm.
It's all about achievement hunting. If there is a game, okay, there's two games sitting next to each other. One of them has one end goal and nothing else. And the other one has 10,000 side quests, 600 points worth of achievements, and you have to complete everything in the game in order to finish it. Which one are you going to play?
One with all the accolades because I want them all.
Exactly. It's it makes you feel like you've accomplished something, right?
Oh hell yeah!
Like I didn't go through and, achieve the 1,700 gamer points in Skyrim because I fucking, like to punish myself. Like, no, I did it because I wanted to do it, because I wanted to achieve it, because I wanted to see if I could, because it's hard. You know what I mean? Because it's difficult to
Or
do.
the gold level in Apex. Hey,
Yeah.
it's a quick side story, everybody. Adam popped in my chat like a month ago or so, and I teased him about watching him play Apex because I came in and somebody lit him up like, oh yeah, I saw you get your ass kicked yesterday, man. And he goes, oh yeah, I'm not that great. I guess I just got to gold level by who knows.
Yeah.
Or whatever it was. What a diamond level, whatever level you got. And I was like, I was just kidding, man.
Yeah, no,
That's the-
I'm still very new to that game though. Like, to be honest, like, I mean, it's tough. It's way different to any other game I've played. Like, there's like heaps of games right now that I've played for the first time, and I'm just like, now I understand why people have played this for years. But I also understand why people stop playing it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
there's so many games like that. Like,
Oh my goodness.
we could talk about that forever. I appreciate the podcast as always, bro. We had a good time today. Like, we really did touch on some really good topics. And
Good.
look, this again, we could talk about this topic for fucking ever. But I mean,
I know.
to wrap it up in a sentence, I guess for everyone listening and for everyone who's listened to the whole thing, go out and apply it. Just take the information that we've expressed today that might interest you, that you might be able to apply to your daily life, and do it. Like, just try it and let me know. Just try it and let us know. Like, just do it. Like, try it. You've got to, because if you don't, if you listen to it and you hear it, but then you go into life and then you don't use it, that's one thing. But if you go into life and then use it, you might actually change your life for the better. To be honest, I think it's
we touched on a lot of different aspects of emotional intelligence, and I agree. I would encourage, you to tell friends, people that you care about, you yourself also go back, listen to it, and if there was one area of it that jumped out more than the others, take that one area and apply it. Because
Yeah.
because if you can master one component out of all the different things that we discussed, the rest of them will become a little bit easier to understand. So that would be awesome, man. I had fun. I really enjoyed talking about this one, man. I look forward to the next one. And thank you guys for hanging in there with us. Maya, Brittany, Toko, Pit Slayer, whoever else maybe didn't speak up. We appreciate that.
Yeah, 100%. All right, dude. Till next week. I'll see you then.
All right, brother. Be good, man.
Bye.